Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DBPA Cast, a podcast by De Blasi Parente and Associados, where we explore key topics in intellectual property from different parts of the world. I'm Paulo Armando, attorney of the firm, speaking from Brazil.
Hi, and I am Dylan Shen, head of the electrical group in the patent department in the firm Chinese Counseling Partners. It's a pleasure to be here, Paulo.
Well, it's my pleasure, Dylan. Today we are diving a bit more into a very relevant and evolving topic, standard essential patents, or SEPs. Specifically, we'll hear about the latest developments and perspectives from China, one of the leading players in this space. Dylan, let's start with the basics. How is China approaching SEPs today? What are the key developments you've seen recently?
Thank you, Paulo. So China has been very active in the SEP space, especially as our economy becomes more technology-driven. So in recent years, Chinese courts have become important venues for resolving SEP disputes. For instance, the Supreme People's Court has issued guidance on FRIEND, which is fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory commitments, bring more predictability to licensing negotiations. And also, there's strong focus on balancing the rights of SEP holders with the interest of implementers, particularly in industries like telecommunications, IoT, and automotive.
That's very interesting. In Brazil, SEP litigation is still emerging. We do have discussions around FRIEND, but there's no consolidated jurisprudence yet. Our courts are watching international developments closely, including what happens in China and recent royalties rate settings in FRIEND disputes around the globe. So, Dylan, how does China handle global royalty rate settings in SEP cases? Are Chinese courts open to setting rates beyond the local market?
Excellent question. Yes, Chinese courts have increasingly asserted jurisdiction to set global FRIEND rates. A landmark example is the Huawei versus Conversant case, where the court set global rates despite challenges from foreign parties. This decision was grounded in transparent legal procedures, including requiring SEP holders to disclose complete patent portfolios and negotiate in good faith under Chinese SEP-specific juridical framework. So Chinese courts aim to ensure rulings are both legally sound and internationally aligned. This reflects China's growing role in shaping global SEP licensing frameworks, particularly given the dominance of Chinese tech companies in 5G and AI-related fields, and also a cautious balance between protecting innovators and ensuring fair competition.
Well, in Brazil, we haven't had cases of global rate setting yet. Although very recently, our economic regulatory entity, it's the Administrative Commission of Economic Defense, it's CADE, has decided to investigate the terms of Ericsson versus Lenovo global agreement, as it potentially impacts the consumers if any abusive rate or dominance position practice is conducted by the patentee, in case FRIEND terms are not observed, of course. Our courts typically handle domestic disputes, but with the growth of the tech sector in Brazil, this might become a topic soon, as CADE's investigation already indicates. Well, another hot topic globally is the role of injunctions in SEP enforcement. How is this managed in China?
And it's a delicate balance. Chinese courts may grant injunctions in SEP disputes, but they apply strict criteria. So the courts consider whether both parties negotiated in good faith under FRIEND obligations. So if a SEP holder fails to fulfill FRIEND commitments, such as refusing to disclose patent lists or imposing unfair licensing terms, the court is likely to reject injunction request. Conversely, the courts also scrutinize implementers for reverse hold-up tactics, ensuring neither party abuses the negotiation process. So this dual safeguard aligns with China's new IP strategy, which explicitly aims to refine SEP injunction rules to prevent excessive rights protection by dominant patent holders and ensure balanced outcomes for all stakeholders. and this discourages hold up and hold out behavior.
This is very relevant for Brazil as well. We don't have clear rules on SEP injunctions yet, but the debate is growing, especially with the rise of connected devices and IoT in Latin America, which can spread to specific relevant areas like robotic surgery. Also, injunction reliefs in Brazil are very common, and Brazilian courts decide on injunctions relatively quickly compared to other jurisdictions. This is drawing the attention of SEP owners and implementers as well, as Brazil can be a strategic jurisdiction for securing decisions in SEP disputes. So let's talk about government policies. Is there a policy push in China regarding SEPs and their strategic importance?
Absolutely. SEPs are now part of China's broader national IP strategy, and China's SEP policy framework includes incentives for companies to participate in standard-setting organizations and to develop strong SEP portfolios. There's also support for SMEs to navigate SEP licensing, so it's not just about the big players. This is consistent with China's strategy to leverage SEP frameworks for technological progress in high-value industries.
That's a very important point. In Brazil, the government's involvement in SEP policies is still minimal. However, discussions are beginning at agencies like the ENPE and which is our Patent and Trademark Office, and the Ministry of Industry, especially as Brazil seeks to integrate further into the global technology markets. Finally, Dylan, where do you see the future of SEPs in China? What should companies pay attention to?
So I believe we'll see more clarity in licensing frameworks, faster dispute resolution, and greater international influence of Chinese courts in SEP matters. So I think the key takeaway is that China's SEP framework is designed to balance innovation incentives with affordability for local industries. For companies operating there or looking to enter the market, it's critical to understand how Chinese courts contextualize a friend. For example, they'll scrutinize whether SEP holders are only claiming royalties on patents that are actually essential to the standard and not just bounding their entire portfolio, and whether those rates align with industry norms. In 5G cases, we've seen judges cap global rates using a top-down approach, then allocate shares based on each company's patent strength. They also compare those numbers against real-world agreements to check for fairness. And also the convergence of SEPs with AI, IoT, and automotive sectors will bring new challenges. Companies may keep an eye on how Chinese judges interpret proportionality in new cases and track policy from the Supreme People's Court.
Perfectly said, Dylan. In Brazil, while we are behind in SEP regulation compared to China, the growth of tech and 5G adoption means we will inevitably face these issues. And learning from China's experience is invaluable for companies and policymakers. So, Dylan, as we're going to an end, this has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Thank you for sharing with China's perspective on SEPs.
Thank you, Paulo. It's been a pleasure discussing this with you. I also look forward to seeing how Brazil navigates these challenges and opportunities.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on DBPA Cast. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll continue to explore the evolving world of intellectual property around the globe. Goodbye.
Goodbye.